Hello, Allie Tetrick here, coming live with the radio voice from the Sea Otter Classic. And I am standing next to, okay, no, my radio voice isn't great, but here we go. I'm standing next to Rich, founder, co-owner of Fluid.
It's great to be here. Rich, chief bottle washer, founder, whatever, formulator at Fluid Sports Nutrition. Always a good time at Sea Otter.
I mean, Sea Otter is the place to be to learn about bikes, race bikes, geek out on bikes, and Fluid is the official hydration sponsor.
Year number 10, running it back as that official hydration sponsor. And it's a great place. It's always good to see old friends and to see the new youth getting into the sport and to just create all the positivity around cycling.
That is something that you're always really good at. I think we're both really good at positivity.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe it's because we're very hydrated.
It definitely, dehydration makes everything worse. So hydration can only help the positive vibes. You know, you got to put them out there.
Yeah, so we're right at the entrance of Sea Otter. So it's like, if it's loud, it's because there's thousands of people walking by the minute.
Yeah.
And we are basically, Fluid has the hydration station. Not only is it on course, but it's here. I just saw event staff grabbing hydration because they're out in the sun probably longer than the riders are.
Yeah, no, we got hydration set up for all participants of any race. So the 7,000 to 8,000 racers who are here, plus anyone who's here in the festival. So these 70,000 to 80,000 visitors, we come prepared with pallets of water, lots and lots of products, 6 different flavors of things on tap right now. Definitely a hydrated place to be.
There's a fun fact though. I grew up in the Central Coast of California, and you are based out of San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
I went to elementary school in Santa Maria, California, so not that far from you.
Okay.
And but there's a fun fact that I like. Most people don't know how much work you do also outside of bike industry to really help first responders and things like that. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So in 2012, we learned about some local firefighters who are working wildlands in California, where unfortunately we have a big problem with fires. And at the same time, workers who are on a solar farm were having a tremendous problem with heat stress. And so we gave them some electrolyte mix of our performance fuel, like the carbohydrate drink, and realized it wasn't quite the right tool for that. They needed something smaller, something a little bit sweeter, something a little bit faster dissolving, and just like a little bit different for that workplace. And so we created a tactical, basically approach to dehydration.
Yeah.
When it became our tactical line of electrolyte mix and high sodium mix. And so we supply law enforcement agencies, fire departments, municipalities, anywhere that someone's trying to work to do their job, but they're under heat stress, and really try to step up to provide support. So the neutral hydration station for everybody.
I do like the hydration station. Yeah. I mean, I need a lot of it. I'm not good in heat anyway, in general. But we're also here at the Sea Otter Classic, like we talked about, and the weather can be all over the map.
If you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. It gets hill, it gets warm.
I started the gravel race this morning in like fog that was so dense it was raining. And then I crest the top of the ridge and I'm going along, and then I was like hot.
Yeah.
I was sweating and thinking, oh boy, did I plan out my hydration properly, right? But good thing you're on course at this point, like, right? Yeah. When you're not here on course at aid stations, I make sure I fuel with my bottles and things like that. So as a gravel racer, my races can vary, goodness, from, don't usually get shorter than 100 miles. I do have a big 500-mile gravel event happening in Chile. But a lot of people ask me though, I have won on down gravel worlds 3 times, and I think I have my nutrition dialed.
Yeah.
But it always is changing with the fads and what's going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, when people ask me like how I fuel, how I hydrate, what calories am I consuming, I usually just go more to adages because everybody's different, as you know.
Yeah.
But the 2 things I say is like sip, sip, nibble, nibble. And the other thing I say is eat and drink early and often.
Yeah.
Because when the races are starting, it's chaotic. Everyone's a world champion the first 10 miles or so. And then your screws start to come loose as it gets humid, hot, or perhaps it's cold and you don't want to drink.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I just say, because I think calories are different for everybody. I tend to do about 250 to 300 calories an hour, a couple scoops of fluid. I actually really like to put my hydration in my hydration pack. I use a Camelback, but because sometimes bottles will fly out,
Sure,
you never
sure.
know, gravel can get chaotic. So I think it's really nice to know that fluid is in my hydration pack,
Yeah.
because then that helps my sip, sip, nibble, nibble, because I know that my calories are on my body. But am I doing anything wrong with that, or?
I mean, who am I to say that you're doing anything wrong?
You're the expert. You are the expert.
Uh,
I win races.
there-
You make
Very
the
few
stuff.
things. No, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Drink mix that's carbohydrate, in foundation, like performance, is something that you can really lean on to give you a solid foundation of the amount of carbohydrates you're going to get per hour or time frame. So it's kind of like stacking the water, the electrolytes, and the carbs per time unit. And so, 3 gels in 20 minutes isn't going to be helpful, but like 1 gel every 2 hours isn't really going to be helpful either. So something like performance is designed for you to run like 50 grams of carbohydrates per bottle and taste like fruity water. You can easily bump it up a third scoop to 75 grams of carbs. Now it's 300 calories per bottle, and it'll still be hydrating. You can go stronger than that if you want to do a 100-gram carbohydrate bottle. But now that bottle becomes a little bit more like a very runny gel than a sports drink. And so it doesn't really have water to give you because of biology and osmolarity. So without going into that, so without going into that too much, what I like to do is to do 2 scoops in a bottle, and I got 50 grams of carbohydrates, or say 24 ounces. So you could use, in a pack, you just do your multiplication. And now that's something you can lean on for, say, 2/3, 60, 70, 80% of your calories. And then you can stack things like some Big Newtons, like some applesauce, like your preferred gel, like your favorite Shot Blocks or Honey Stingers or Bonk Breaker, gummies. And so that way you get a little bit of variety, you don't get flavor fatigue, and you still have a behavioral desire to continue eating, which is really important. If you get burned out on whatever it is and you're not looking forward to it, well, then that reduces the likelihood of like compliance with your fueling plan later in the event. So I'd say it's good to have kind of fluid as a consistent foundation, and then you can play with like the ebb and flow to get like your desired amount of carbohydrate and calorie per hour.
It's great advice, and I still do think a trick of the trade is the hydration pack. If the race is a duration where you need a hydration pack, that you are guaranteed to have the calories there. Maybe it could be light, like maybe it's light. I do tend to go a little lighter because you don't know how long you're gonna live that hydration pack.
Sure.
But I wanna make sure you're getting hydrated and with the carbohydrates that I need, as well as electrolyte with,
100%.
And then I think I do like the real food when I ride too.
Yeah.
I love real food. So I went on down and people are like, what did you eat? And I was like, I had some donut holes, that's what my body wanted. So like a little real food, and people ask too about intensity. And I feel like the more intense I'm going, the more I want to go to like a more just simple carbohydrates. I'm getting hydrated with performance, of course, but maybe I do stick more to those gummies, gels, whatever your preference is. So like higher your heart rate is. The longer events, if you're out there 10, 12, 14 hours, like sometimes I just get hungry. So I do, sliced pizzas worked for me before.
No, absolutely. And so that's kind of speaking to the biological human resources that are available for digestion, but also for like exercise metabolism. So as you increase intensity, you're asking your body to shift more blood into working musculature and to create ATP, in a very anaerobic fashion. And so your digestive abilities are going to decrease as your exercise intensity increases. So stopping for like something that might sound delicious on a century is not going to be the best fuel to digest. So something like if you're the higher intensity, I would avoid higher fat. I would avoid higher fiber. I'd avoid higher protein content. But if you're going like lower intensity, longer duration, well, now all of a sudden getting a little bit of protein, a little bit of healthy fat, a little bit of healthy fiber can help with satiety or the feeling of fullness, and to be something that you look forward to. So you're not just getting burnt out on something too sweet or too sugary for a 8, 10, 12-hour event.
That is something I really love about performance is it's not too sweet. It just tastes like very fruity water.
Yeah.
Not like very fruity water, but like the perfect, like I'm a Goldilocks in most things. I'm like a little too much, not enough. And then it's just like just right.
Yeah.
I do a scoop and a half. That's me.
Yeah, no, it's fair to figure it out for yourself. Yeah.
If I still want a little snack, I think it's just something where I like to, I don't know, it's a chewing sensation or something, but.
Well, and that's why I think a lot of products might look good on paper or they look good on the front label, but you put that into practice for like a 6-hour high intensity effort and it just starts to break down because you may not enjoy it. And I understand that there's like a certain degree of being gritty with being an athlete, and like, sure, a lot of things aren't enjoyable and you just do it. But when the wheels start to come apart and you need to look forward to your grazing and your snacking, those nibble nibbles, it has to work for you. So playing with the formula that works for you, something you can lean on, something that you can graze on, it's the way to go.
I think that is probably just other best advice is I'm a treat-based athlete. Also,
like cats.
I like to look forward to something. I do love hydrating with performance for that reason because it's delicious, it's light. I know I'm getting the calories, electrolytes, sodium, everything that I need. But sometimes I do, like when I get to an aid station and I'm winning a big race and I'm like, I don't know, it's a smorgasbord because I don't know. Maybe I want sweet, maybe I want savory. I have no idea. So I just love that. It's like treat-based is incredible. But I think like there is something else we need to talk about with overall performance, because athletes like myself and so many others have these events that they're targeting and they're training for. Events are really expensive. Sure. You're traveling, you're spending time away from your family, but it's your goal. And not only like treat-based, which I guess is similar. I'm a goal-oriented athlete.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have a goal, I want to sit on the couch and eat bonbons. Like I want a goal. Like I want to know why I'm going to ride, and I want something that inspires me.
Yeah.
So advice I give athletes a lot though is find a goal that inspires you, not what somebody told you. Like, Rich, you should do an Ironman, and you're like, I don't really want to, but like everyone cool's doing it or whatever. Like, like it's something that you want to do. But so that means though you have this goal. I have a big goal. Like this year, I am going to race like a UCI gravel race. I'm going to do this 800-kilometer self-supported race across the Andes, and I've never done anything like that. So I might need to actually try, train.
Yeah.
And to me, I like training more than sometimes racing. And it's so cliche. It's about the journey, the process. But ultimately, after race day, regardless what happens, what I think about is the memories and the times I had on my bike.
Yeah, yeah.
So long-winded way to say recovery is really important.
Sure, absolutely. So recovery is, we're kind of looking at the acute recovery phase. We're kind of looking at the first 30 minutes after exercise completion. And so that's what it's a really cool phenomenon, basically, where these glucose transporters that are on muscle cells are wide open and they're no longer insulin gated. And so without getting into too much more of that, you can take advantage of that the same way that a diabetic individual might take advantage of that to help manage their blood sugar. We can expedite glucose into a muscle cell and then expedite the formation of glycogen. And that has everything to do with the next performance, the subsequent performance, and replenishing those glycogen stores. So if you're training Monday, training Tuesday, training Thursday, by the time you get to Friday, you don't want to be depleted here and still have to go up for those intervals when you could be here. And so getting recovery nutrition in, ideally in some kind of smoothie or shake that's very easily assimilable, tolerable on your gut, with protein, carbohydrates, that's critical. And then doing your tissue work, cooling down appropriately, making sure you have healthy connective tissue, and then following that up with a proper meal so you can start your kind of longer term recovery. Absolutely critical. I mean, for an athlete like yourself, just staying healthy with all of the stress of training is huge, especially when you have this really solid goal. You're training with a purpose. The last thing that you want to do is create a hole that you can't dig yourself out of and can't recover out of because of the intensity of your training. So super important.
So I know, you finish your efforts, and I'm a professional athlete. So my job is to ride a bike. That's super cool. But other people are training, and they've got to take their kids to school. They're training at 5 a.m. And I found that a lot of people forget about that 30-minute window. That 30-minute window is so important. But you're thinking about showering to get to work, dressing your kids, feeding your kids, taking that conference Zoom call with your helmet still on. 30 minutes goes by really quick. So you tell us a little bit about how fluids recovery that makes that easy just to get in that quick glycogen fill up.
Yes. So basically what we're trying to do is get carbohydrates and protein in a tasty treat like cinnamon vanilla or chocolate or mint chocolate.
Like horchata, basically. So good.
Yeah. Recovery is where we started. That was the original OG fluid product, like powder mixing in our kitchen in college for athletes that we were training, because we didn't want them to waste their workout. We wanted them to come back as fueled as they could be. So this was the first step in that process. But yeah, I'd say you hop off the trainer, you get out of the gym, you come home, you whisk up your fluid. It's already at a 3-to-1 ratio. You could add something to it. You could add some banana. Now you're adding carbohydrate. You could add some additional protein powder.
Peanut butter has been good in there. Oh, a little fatty protein. Ooh, so
yeah, some peanut butter, some almond butter. So now you're adding some healthy, sources of fat. You could pre-blend some oats if you wanted to add some fiber to it and kind of slow down digestion a little bit. Again, that's going to increase like the feeling of fullness. So that's going to stick with you for a little bit longer, and make it something that you look forward to. Like the fastest running shoe in the world doesn't matter if it doesn't feel good when you put it on.
Yeah.
The best snow parka in the world doesn't matter if it doesn't feel good. Like it has to work for you. So that's why we make 6 different flavors of recovery. And also, like when we talk about our value of inclusion, it's not just something that we put on our website. We make 6 different flavors with either whey protein if you prefer that, or with plant protein if you prefer that. So if you're looking for a non-dairy version, we create those options. So anyway, yeah, recovery is super important. Get that carbs, protein. Ideally, and the reason that's also in a drink mix is then you can rehydrate.
It's the same reason why I like the performance, right? I'm getting calories and I'm hydrating. I'm getting calories, electrolytes, but it's all in one swoop. I'm also getting the fluid.
Yeah.
And I've always been a big advocate of that for the recovery, is because you're also, whatever you mix it in, so you're getting 16 ounces of H2O plus the carbohydrates, the protein, the 3-to-1 ratio, and then depending on what you put it in.
One other thing that we didn't mention yet is in the recovery drink, we add additional L-glutamine, which is super important for tissue repair, super important for feeding and nourishing our immune system, critical for gut microbiome, and basically for helping create a healthy gut flora down there. And so it's also a critical neurotransmitter ingredient. And it also fuels our internal antioxidant system. So it's what's called the glutamine-glutathione reduction system. So really important.
Very important, I can tell. You're very excited, so I know it's important. Keep going.
Yeah, glutamine just helps our body do a whole bunch of things it wants to do, but it needs this nutrient to do it. And it can create it. It's called a conditionally essential amino acid, so it can create it from other amino acids, but that takes time. And so when you're trying to capture your body's ability to heal itself in this acute window, why not throw additional glutamine in there? So yeah, recovery is critical.
Okay, yes, wrap up on that. Recovery is critical, and 30 minutes goes by very fast.
Yeah.
Especially to take long showers.
Yes.
Or life habits.
Yes. We also have travel packets of recovery too, super critical. And travel packets of creatine. So if that's something that you're using to help with muscle recovery, it's critical that, I feel like we use the word critical a lot, but having travel packets of recovery, travel packets of creatine, it makes it more usable for the athlete to actually put these things into practice. Again, who cares about them in theory? It has to work in real life.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that you explain everything. You are the expert. I will pedal bikes. Yeah. I will pedal bikes and use fluid to help me perform better, and also just probably be happier, because my husband does not like me hangry.
Oh, Oh, no.
And as you can see, I talk a lot. So if I get quiet on rides, that means I haven't used fluid enough and I have not fueled enough, right? Because
you gotta find some snacks or some treats.
Yeah. So I'm glad that fluid provides me these treats, not only during my rides, but also post-ride.
Yeah.
And then adds additional nutrients that I need. So.
Well, I think you're so kind, and that we all have something to learn. We all have something to teach, and there's certainly a lot I can learn from you, and hopefully I have something of value to share.
Well, I'll just say I'm a very proud fluid partner, working with the best in the business, experts in the field. So if you're at Sea Otter, enjoy, but see us on the road, buy online, support, boom.